My name is Azam Foda, and I have been the CFO of Univa Corporation for the past 8 years, and have led and supported its successful exit only 1 month ago. So 1 month ago, we announced our merger with Altair Engineering, a NASDAQ-listed company out of Michigan. Now, Univa was a venture-backed company engaged in the business of providing data center optimization software. So the optimization, optimal efficiency kind of rings a bell here. So we provided data center optimization software as well as cloud migration software to global Fortune 1000 companies, the US government, as well as various universities. So for example, you hear about CDC and Johns Hopkins very much in the news these days. They use Univa software. Other ones are Lockheed Martin use our software. And we were global. Saudi Aramco, Sanofi, Merck, Bristol Myers, those are the kind of customers we had, many more. So Univa's business model was basically a subscription-based business model, and therefore I'm very familiar with SaaS metrics, SaaS financials, which are different from traditional financials and traditional revenue recognition. During my time at Univa, I have conducted debt and equity raises. I have restructured debt, used both traditional and venture debt. Univa was centrally organized with offices in US, Canada, and Germany, as well as UK. And I wore multiple hats over there. We were a small company, venture-backed. I wore multiple hats. So in addition to finance, I was also the chief for all things associated with sales operations. Once the deal is done, sales contracting, the sales reporting, and the metrics, all of that was under my watch. Legal as well as human resources. And since Jan of this year, as Karine mentioned, I was also acting co-CEO, collaborating with an interim chief operating officer, as Univa did not have a full-time CEO starting January 2020. And right now, as a result of the acquisition, I'm currently helping the transition of Univa's business to the new acquirers. So prior to Univa, I have supported another exit of a telecom OSS software provider, OSS meaning operational support system software provider. That company was backed by Kleiner Perkins, Cisco, Morgan Stanley. In addition to that, over the past 25 years of my experience, I've spent about half my career in manufacturing companies. And I've had great success in improving inventory management and cost accounting in these businesses. So I consider myself very well-rounded in both manufacturing and technology. I've been in public companies, family businesses, private companies, venture-backed companies. So I'm kind of very adaptable to all different kinds of organization structures. I'm essentially a roll up your sleeves, execute and make it happen type of guy. I need to get into the trenches to understand and help build a business. Education-wise, I have a CA from India, I have a CPA from Ontario in Canada, and I have an MBA from the Rotman School of Business at University of Toronto. I'm extremely excited to be part of Karine's team in the future as soon as financing is in place. I get in to execute and make it happen. I've helped OE in the past, as Karine mentioned, and I look forward to coming in to be part of the team that really helps grow the investment that OE is looking to raise. And I thank you for your attention. If there are any questions, I will be happy to answer now or later.
My name is Stuart Hall. I've got about 25 years experience in capital markets on quite a few sides of the capital market. I was a chief economist and market strategist for HSBC Securities Canada for about 12 years. Prior to that, I had other roles in trading function. I've thought about, written about, talked about capital markets and economics for most of my career. I was typically a forward-facing, client-facing person for the bank. So I had the opportunity to travel and to meet with some of the world's largest pools of capital and to tell the Canadian story and how it related in a global context. Now it's kind of, I feel like I'm kind of like a bit of an oddball amongst the group of people that Corinne has brought together here. But I think that it's a reflection of this broad net that Corinne has cast to try and bring in as wide a variety of thought leaders and thinkers as she possibly can, as a means of trying to basically cover off all the bases. So she's done a really terrific job in terms of bringing all these unique individuals together to try to craft the best story and the best product that's possible. My intro into optimal efficiency was quite interesting, at least from my standpoint, but keep in mind I'm an economist, so we tend to be a rather boring lot. But I had a friend who was working in the contracting industry, and he came from aerospace, and he was working for a company that did the sliding glass doors, and so they were one of the last remaining elements of the contracting chain to be brought in to finish off, whether it was a building or a retail outlet or what have you. Anyways, coming from aerospace, he sit me down with me, he'd tell me stories, some nightmare stories about the contracting industry and what a mess it was. The level of sophistication was very poor, and he was unused to seeing such inefficiencies having come from aerospace. And so about 3 years ago, I'm sitting across the table from Corinne, and she's telling me what she wants to do. And it was like a bolt of lightning hit me that I knew exactly what she was trying to do, what she wanted to accomplish, because I'd heard these first-hand stories of what a mess the construction industry is. And so I was eager to really provide whatever service possible I could, given my history, my background. And so for the last couple of years, I've had this terrific opportunity to join this voyage of discovery and opportunity to be with Corinne and act as an advisor, as a sounding board, as someone to spitball with, throw ideas around. And I really look forward to continuing along with this voyage, and hope that many of you will come along with us. And on that note, I'll pass it back to the moderator. Thank you for the time.
Okay. Hey, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody from Austin, Texas. Tony is my name, and I was 35 years an American soldier. Had very interesting assignments with that, and I transitioned out of the United States Army in 2014. Spent 4.5 years in public higher education in Texas, the University of Texas system, which is 8 universities and 6 medical centers. Very eye-opening assignments there. And now I run, since January, I run a defense-oriented nonprofit here in Austin, Texas. And the reason I established that nonprofit, and the reason I was excited to assist with Corinne and OE, is because of what I've seen in an incredible shift in the defense sector on the way, I'm going to oversimplify it because I am just a soldier, the way they buy things. And this stems from, quite frankly, the fact that peer competitors around the world can turn with greater efficiency, and that means a whole lot more speed, technological advances, and we have been the United States defense area sector and the U.S. national security, in my opinion, is being outpaced in a number of technological areas. And so the Defense Department, the good news is the Defense Department, the national security community has seen this, and even in the words of the 2018 National Defense Strategy, they have said we've got to innovate at the speed of relevance. They are seeking a national innovation base across the United States. If you can think industrial base for the 20th century, they're looking for an innovation base that they can turn to in the 21st century. And that means what's happening is the Department of Defense in particular, but the national security community at large, is driving the cycle of innovation much faster. And these are not just words. They're breaking down the barriers to relationships and funding. They've come up with a variety of new funding vehicles to speed the cycle of innovation. And I can tell you, of those 35 years in uniform as a soldier, 4 tours were at the Pentagon. The most recent tour of mine at the Pentagon, I was in charge of the $35 billion equipment budget, which I co-chaired how we parsed it with a civilian senior executive. And I really learned how the Army runs. I learned how the department runs. One of my assignments was of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And And I can tell you that there's been a seismic shift. We are no longer satisfied with how long it takes to write a requirement, have a requirement approved, and then spend the money with, I hate to say it, the usual suspects. And so, quite frankly, if there was a major message I'd leave you today, is there's never been a better time for small business to break into the defense sector, particularly in technology. So what does this mean? This means that right now requirements are being written completely differently than they have before. And I also don't want to misspeak. For big things, aircraft carriers, multi-year helicopter contracts, a future fighting vehicle, yes, those will take time. Those requirements are still a little bit labored. But for everything else, there's an engagement with industry and research and entrepreneurs even on what do you want? What problem are you trying to solve? How do we fix it? And they go back and forth before there is a requirement written. So that pre-competitive space is very fertile ground for small businesses. They're giving the entities within the Department of Defense and the national security community greater freedom of action to spend money. And that means that there are new funding vehicles, and forgive me if many of you listening know these, but the Small Business Innovation and Research Fund, SBIR, is one. The Small Business Tech Transfer and Research Fund is another one. And what that is other transactional authority. There's a number of vehicles right now that, again, I'm going to oversimplify it for you, gives representatives of the national security community, the Department of Defense, walking around money, sizable walking around money to secure contracts with small businesses, small, medium, large, with entrepreneurs to gain greater efficiencies in technology. Some of the areas that we're going after, obviously, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, machine learning, augmented reality. I mean, imagine the synthetic training environment. So much of training is going on in simulations right now. There's a huge technology requirement there. Goes without saying, cybersecurity, high-end secure systems. My little nonprofit assisted the 4-star headquarters that landed in Austin, Texas. The Army 4-star headquarters landed in Austin, Texas in 2018, called Army Futures Command, whose job is for the Army to look out and see what is needed and speed the purchase of what is needed. I helped them establish something called a software factory. The Army's going to actually teach soldiers how to code, work stack, basically field their own uniform mini data scientists. U.S. Space Command is looking for a headquarters. Personally, I think it's going to Colorado, but it could go anywhere in the United States. But there's a new 4-star command that's going to require speed and efficiency in the way they operate in their practices, and it's all technology there. There's actually a place in the Pentagon that is called the Manufacturing Technology Program, and that is all about manufacturing. And some of you are familiar with these terms: Technology Readiness Level, TRL. TRL1, Technology Readiness Level 1, is basic research, and it goes up through 7. And there's also manufacturing research level that starts at 1. This office in the Pentagon, Manufacturing Technology Program, is all about leaping from a lower level of technology or manufacturing readiness to a higher one as quickly as possible. So what this means is the national security community and the Defense Department, the U.S. Defense Department, are out there right now and searching for ways to get this done. And they've put elements. There's something called the Defense Innovation Unit in the Silicon Valley and in Austin. The Air Force has something called AFWERX, W-E-R-X, A-F-W-E-R-X. These entities, the Army has the Army Applications Lab, where you can walk in and say, hey, I have an app. I guess I'll close now because of time. I just want to leave with you that there is no better time to break into this space. This audience is seeking efficiency. Efficiency brings speed, but they're also seeking effectiveness. And I think Karine and OE's approach to all this is spot on and can secure a great niche. And with that, I'll cede my time. Thank you very much for listening, everybody.
Can you hear me? My name is Terry Lyons. I met Karine a number of years ago, and by way of my background, which I'll explain briefly in a minute, I've been providing, I would call it, business and hopefully practical advice with regards to the business plan and future of optimal efficiency. I'm very enthusiastic for a number of reasons. The General explained many of them. My background goes back, I'm a civil engineer by coincidence, spending most of my life in soil mechanics or my training in soil mechanics and concrete. And then I went on and after a couple of stints of practicing engineering, went on and got a business degree and took enough legal training to understand what lawyers do, but I didn't want to be one. And I got into the business world. I've got a varied background. I've spent a lot of time in mergers and acquisitions, a lot of time in financing, and probably more interesting is the types of industries I've been involved in. I was a senior project manager and ultimately chairman of Canada's largest marine group. We built naval warships. We built projects for the U.S. Navy. We were a major subcontractor. We had 4 facilities, a very large engineering and design group. And through that business, we also were involved in farm machinery and international business. That company got into a little bit of difficulty. We restructured it. I became one of the co-CEOs of that company. And we became, after a couple of kind of reorganizations, we became the Western arm of a company called Hayes International, Trilon Financial, and Brascan, which today is called Brookfield Asset Management. I was a partner there for 20 years, and a consultant for another 10. Retired in the mid-2000s, basically spent time as a corporate director and have spent time in the financial and strategy areas, spent a lot of time in restructuring companies. There's just a lot of things that need to be done in that area. I currently sit on 3 public company boards, Martin Ray International, which is Canada's 3rd largest auto parts manufacturing company. If you want to talk about electric cars, we can do that forever. A company called SRHI Inc., which is a reorganized company that owns a Chilean copper mine, and I've spent lots of time in the mining industry. And the 3rd business is Canaccord Genuity, which is Canada's largest non-bank financial institution. And I'm a director and chair of the audit committee and so on. I also am involved in 3 or 4 private entities. And I've been, as I say, providing advice to business advice to Karine over the last few years. I see this as a great opportunity. One of the areas that got me interested is what I call the inefficiencies of the world. I watched the news last night, and I got really upset over a 2-minute piece that was, I guess, really a reflection on society and a reflection on where we can hopefully do good things. And that is, people didn't see it, they probably can't relate to it, but Amazon and online retail in North America throws out £5 billion of brand new material every year as a result of a human habit, which is buying something and then returning something, returning it inefficiently, and so on and so on. In other words, by the online retail business has created a offline problem that is geometrically a problem for society. And so I see some of the techniques and some of the opportunities in optimal efficiency is not just building things better, but managing things better and taking the waste out of society. If we took the waste out of society, you know, we wouldn't need $2 and $3 and $4 trillion bailout plans. You know, we can live our lives more efficiently. We can work more efficiently. We can keep our resources more efficient. We can be much more efficient with the environment. We can have a multitude of growth opportunities and eliminate the waste. So I see this as I'm not saying it's a panacea to solve all problems, but it's something that's, in my opinion, worth getting involved in. That's all I'm going to say. And I see this as a very bright future. Thank you, Corinne.